Guys, welcome in episode number 46. I booze you. We're early. We're actually early. If you know, you know. How's it going, Josh? How are we doing today?
I'm very good, man. I'm very good. I'm excited for this week. Very excited. Nice and early as well. Means we can get on the drinks a little bit earlier.
So can we establish before we introduce our lovely special guest and I do disclaimer, what are we drinking? Because I still don't know. I've got 6 beers looking at me here like the casting couch meme, and I don't know which one's gonna get on me first.
This week we are going for the Vault City, the raspberry strawberry coconut ripple.
Okay, you've picked that one, so I'm picking. Wait, are we only doing one this week? What?
No, because I have a second drink. I have a non-Vault City
But
one.
Okay, but what about the other Vault City one?
Yeah, we'll just have to drink more, though, won't we? It's fine.
So,
We'll just have to do what we do best.
I don't know we still don't know what that is yet. But 46 episodes in, we're working it out, guys. We are joined by the amazing FrostFire14. Little round of applause wherever you are.
Welcome in, man. Welcome in. Happy to have you here. Before we get into the good stuff, Thomas, do you want to drop your famous disclaimer?
Yeah, I heard you talking shit about it. Anyway, guys, this podcast is solely for entertainment purposes. I forgot to turn off the blurps.
You fucked it.
That's Gavin. Blame Gavin. I've muted it. Gavin, someone time Gavin out. I think he's a mod. We can't. Guys, this podcast is solely for entertainment purposes. We do not advocate overconsumption or abuse of alcohol, and we certainly do not promote binge drinking. All guests have the choice whether they wish to consume alcohol or not, and it is their responsibility to drink responsibly. And with that being said, ASMR.
It's 10 a.m. Not drinking.
Yeah. Listen, that sounds like you're being out hustled. That's what it sounds like to me. Gentlemen, cheers. Okay, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Look at that agua, beautiful. Get sick of this on the go.
So I'm trying to get a good head here.
You wouldn't think you're a barman the way you are pouring that beer, by the way.
Look at that.
That is disgraceful the way you.
Look at that. No, it's got yield now. It's got yield. You want it to have a bit. But Cade, how are we? How's it been since coming back from Hawaii initially? What are your sort of Go on.
It's been pretty good. Hawaii was pretty. I mean, the competition and stuff was pretty crazy. Actually being there was really cool. It was my first time in Hawaii, so we only stayed in I guess the Waikiki area pretty much, but it was super nice there. Everything was super walkable, which is really, really nice. Wasn't always the most comfortable walk because it was super humid and stuff, but it was nice to just be around and kind of hang out with friends.
Yeah. Did you travel alone or did you travel? Kind of a lot of people travel together.
I had a few of us stayed in the same hotel, but I flew there with a buddy of mine, 8th grade. It was
yes. We've met 8th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I gotta make it out there sometime. Just because literally I've had multiple friends go out there, but yeah.
Yeah, except for you.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah, that's good. So before we dive into Hawaii a little bit more, which kind of wanted to take it right the way back, because I would say out of all the guests we've had, you're probably the one that I know off the top of my head that has the most history with Pokemon, from a very young age.
Yeah.
And you've kind of taken it as obviously a childhood game, and fast forward it to realistically arguably one of the top ranked players in the world, I would argue. So talk us through the beginning of where Pokemon first started in your life.
Oh man. Okay. Pokemon first started, I'm trying to think. It was a combination of stuff. It was a little bit of the anime. I remember first seeing that and being scared of Onyx. And then
I bet that was unexpected.
He's scared of a big snake, a big hard snake.
Yes, exactly. Then I think I don't know if you guys do this in England, but here at least in the early 2000s, at your parents would go work out and the gym had I guess a play area that like people would watch you as a kid and stuff.
We have similar, but only we went to McDonald's and you'd have the indoor like play area in there. There was no like parents.
Gym, not McDonald's, you fat
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah, the golden arches.
Your
No,
parents go to work out, and you went, "Oh yeah, we had that in McDonald's."
no. What I meant is like you have a play area and stuff. Like my parents weren't working out; they were getting the Big Macs in. But no, continue.
But yeah, so I was kind of in like this I don't know, I guess like daycare sort of thing while my parents went to the gym. And I made a friend who was also, you know, I guess was there usually about the same time as I was. And he used to bring Pokemon plushies and like I think some cards. And then his older brother, who at the time he was probably only in like 5th grade, but at the time I thought he was like such a grown up. He was playing on a Game Boy, so I got to like I guess experience. I got to play it a little bit. I mean, not much because you know what 5th grader wants to share their Game Boy with like a 5-year-old. But yeah, from there, and then got my own like first Pokemon stuff, which was a Sableye plushie. So Sableye is my first like Pokemon merchandise. Then so yeah, I started during Gen 3. That's like when I was consistently watching the anime. And then my first games were Diamond and Pearl on the DS. I got them for Christmas.
Yeah,
good games.
What year? But I was like I think it was Christmas when I was 5, I want to say, maybe 4, I can't remember. But so yeah, I started with DPP, or I guess DP at the time. And
Josh, don't look at me like that. I'm sorry. Sorry. Right. So we have to put this out. So the abbreviation DP can stand for multiple things. So anyone listening back on Spotify, YouTube, watching live now, he is referring to Diamond and Pearl. Diamond and Pearl. Continue, Kate. Sorry, I just had to clear that one up for the viewers.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I'm just so used to it.
They did. I'm telling you, they did, and we both did.
What's funny is me and Thomas like locked eyes, like when he said it, and like we're trying to not like.
This is going to be one of those episodes where you're going to just say something completely innocent, and we're going to like try not to corrupt it, but intrusive thoughts will break out. But we continue. Diamond and Pearl, first games.
Yeah.
Yep.
So started with Diamond and Pearl. Funnily enough, I think I started with the first game I played was Diamond, and I don't know if you guys played with Action Replays, but I got my hands on one, and I gave myself the walk through walls glitch.
Yeah, I remember those.
So, like 5-6-year-old me decided it would be really smart to go walk through walls and go in Mount Coronet. And then I got stuck, and I basically lost my save file because I was stuck in the walls and couldn't get out.
Oh no, shit, that's not good.
Funnily enough, like, what was it? It was probably like a few years ago. I went into the game just like because I was curious. I was going through my old Pokemon games, and I had an escape rope.
Ouch! Damn. Yeah. See, what the thing is, like when you play those games, like when you're younger, you just ignore all that stuff, right? Like all those kind of items. You're like,
yeah, I had like a Mew and stuff. I was like, oh, like I'm such a such a good game. I didn't care about anything else. But then.
Yeah, so I had what was it? Was it an R4 Revolution card? It was like similar to an Action Replay. It basically the same thing.
Yeah,
like that's cool. And then what and you just kept on playing, or like any more like memorable memories like along the way?
Basically, then I had to start a new game on my Pearl. And yeah, I'm trying to think. Start a new game on Pearl, continued playing, and then Platinum came out. I still have a distinct memory of going to like the day it came out, going to Target and getting it. And then what was it? Diamond or Heart Gold Soul Silver came out, and I remember I was leaving like I think like basically the day it was coming out for a trip. But Amazon ended up delivering them early, so I remember being super happy about that and like grinding through them basically on like the drive down to Florida. So those are like some super early memorable parts for me for Pokemon of Gen 4.
I know
Cool.
you mentioned the cards briefly. In terms of like the cards, did you ever get into that beyond the point of like? Because I know a lot of people, like me myself nowadays, it's just like I collect them, but I won't go out of my way to go to like a game shop and try and like enter a tournament. Did you ever like play the card game beyond just simple collecting?
Oh man, that's actually cool that you mentioned that. So I never did, but I was always interested in it. I had I'm trying to think of how to describe this. Family friend who her son went to Worlds and I think multiple regionals for TCG. So as a kid, I was always like, I want to try and compete and stuff. So even since I was that young, I'd always wanted to like, try to play competitive Pokemon in some capacity.
Yeah.
So from there, when was your first like competitive Pokemon event? Like the first ever one you ever attended?
It was what year was that? 2022 in Baltimore.
Okay. So you didn't pursue like the VCG or the cards
No,
before
no.
then.
You
Just,
waited until
on the
go.
back burner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really got into the TCG, and for main series, I'm more of a singles player. I do enjoy singles a lot. So BGC was always like, I understand it or I understood it and stuff, but I never took that extra level to actually go play competitively.
So okay, so by singles, I assume you mean like 1v1
Yeah.
as opposed to the 2v2 format that they actually
Yeah,
use,
yeah.
right?
So I was more of a Smogon player, if you guys know what that is, like Pokemon Showdown.
Yeah,
I'm vaguely familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did more of that, like playing on the ladder and stuff, which isn't like, an official format. Um, so yeah, never went to anything official for BG or TCG.
Just a last one from me, just to really throw it back. Did you ever play anything like Pokemon Crater, or it was like Pokemon Battle Arena, like on the computer? Did you ever indulge in
Dude,
any sort of like
Pokemon,
unofficial Pokemon stuff
Crater,
like that?
Pokemon Crater in the day. Holy.
Serious game.
I'm trying to think. I definitely played like I do not remember the name, but some like what was it, like Weebly, like Weebly or whatever, some like stupid ass games on that, or like I think Roblox back in the day had like some
Yeah.
Pokemon game, but nothing
Yeah.
OG like that.
Dude, I'm surprised you
Crater
played
was good.
Pokemon Crater. Crater
It had a different like name, like it felt like every update it did, but it was like website was like Battle Arena. The whole premise of it was like you obviously same as all the games really. You catch stuff, you level it up, but in terms of the actual like what you do, it's yeah, you have like arrows and stuff, and you press to go up, and then when you go up into like one block, it's all on like a grid, and then obviously you can encounter a wild Pokemon, or you can like battle a train, and then you can do the gym battles and Elite Four and all stuff as normal. Yeah, so I wouldn't. It wasn't.
Good.
I can't remember. Could you There was there a simulation option for like the gym? I think there was. Maybe.
No, it
No.
was a proper like it was almost like it was a proper like browser game
Yeah.
basically like
Okay.
so like
Okay.
so literally as Tom said it was on just a grid
Yeah.
and you had different ways you could get out of the map and you had obviously like your mouse and you had like an up like diagonal right left
Okay.
like that and you would go
Yeah.
it was addictive but the cool thing about it was so mate when the fuck was this this was when I was in high school.
This was a while. This was when my cousin's
Like,
Wi-Fi was like he was using a dongle, and when I'll be playing,
Yeah.
I'll be at the desk playing Pokemon Crater. And he's like, "Don't knock the dongle," because otherwise, like the whole internet just goes. I'm gonna check if it's still kicking about.
Yeah, like this was old, but the cool thing about it was that so there was servers, and you see other people on the map moving around like the same as you, like square by square. It was fucking. It was so cool, man. Like that is a real throwback.
I'm gonna see if I can log in, just like low key. fucking I definitely can't. But for some reason, when I went on the website, it came up with the old username that I had in the saved passwords.
Yeah,
I've unlocked like some real like memories for me there. I remember I had my account and it was really fucking good. And for some reason, like, so this was back before you could like store your passwords like in the browser and stuff. And I remember just completely forgetting my password and just losing my account like completely.
Heartbreak.
I was gutted, man. I was gutted. I'd grinded out. Like, I'd been all like every gym leader from every region, all the elite fours, all the champions. I'd grinded like shiny legendaries a lot, and then it was just gone. And like, because I was a stupid like teenager, like, and like literally just one day I just forgot my login.
Yeah, but that when you're a teenager, you say that you're a stupid teenager. When you're a teenager in that age, like, that's your life's work. Like, low key, that's all you've been doing.
Mate,
that's all you've invested your time and effort, and not money at this point. There was no pay to win, but that's all you did. Like,
I remember going to the library in school and finding one of the really early like VPNs to bypass the school security, so I could play the fucking Pokemon. I used to sit with two internet browsers open, one with like an actual like study stuff, and one with Pokemon up.
We never had to do that.
Behind you, like, oh yeah, we.
They hadn't clocked onto it. They hadn't blocked it. It's Pokemon in it. They're like they don't know. They block like the obvious stuff. They think we want to use like YouTube. We don't care about YouTube. Like we have YouTube to MP3 converter. We listen to music on the actual media player. Like we have music, and then we have Pokemon Crater. So yeah, I didn't mean to unlock such a memory, but that's a proper throwback.
It, like big time memories. Yeah. So to carry on, so like obviously like playing Pokemon from such a young age, and then Pokemon Go comes along, and like basic. And the thing is I would die by this. I remember it vividly. Right. The day Pokemon Go came out that summer, it's probably the closest to world peace we will ever have. Ever. It was like crazy. But because I'm similar to you. I remember my first memories of playing Pokemon as a kid, way back when, and playing it all the way through my childhood and watching animes and everything. So the idea of going out, playing Pokemon Go, catching Pokemon like on Earth was like amazing. So I guess when the game came out, like how was that for you? Like when it came out, were you like super fucking gassed? Were you out playing late and like walking out into streets when cars were coming like I was, or like?
Yeah. So funnily enough, my account actually started. Pokemon Go dropped when I was on a, I guess, family vacation, going back to visit family in Illinois, Chicago suburbs. So it's kind of funny that despite not living there, my account started there. And I remember I still have my starter. I still have it untouched. It's a Bulbasaur. I know not many people have like their starter day one just untouched now. Yeah. So I always made a point to keep that, and then I think I remember I remember Australia getting it first, and then like being on Twitter and constantly refreshing to see when it came out in the US, and then finally it came out, and that was when internet was still not the best, not as good as it is now, obviously. So it took me like I think an hour to downloading it, and I was fucking dying because I was so ready to go out and play, and then I think the first night that I played, I got like 2 Rattata maybe just walking around my grandpa's neighborhood. And then I remember I'm trying to think throughout that early Pogo on that trip, like I remember getting I'm trying to think some core memories I think are like getting my Butterfree, like the first gym system, I guess. I think I had at the point a high CP Pidgeot. So I still have that Pidgeot too, and I use it for Mega. So that thing was I fell in love with that thing. Then I went from Chicago. I went up to my grandparents' place in Michigan, and they lived basically on Lake Michigan. And but that was when Dratini was the rarest thing other than Snorlax maybe. So I remember I kept getting the like reports on like the nearby that there was a Dratini like down by the docks. So if I saw that, I would like fucking sprint down
Run.
there and go get it.
Yeah.
And there never was one.
Ah.
So
Oh no!
I got baited like 3 or 4 times going to look for it.
Yeah.
It's always the way though, especially when like they started to have like I can't remember exactly when, but like a Dragonite would just spawn in the wild. It would be like 10 toes, man. Everyone's just gone. Everyone's straight on it.
Yeah, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's very sad. So I have this in my calendar on my phone. I will never delete it. It reminds me every year. So I was on a bus to North Greenwich to get the tube into London, and I loaded up the map for London on my phone, and it was like and basically so where I was on the bus, it was like the Dragonite had spawned, wild Dragonite, right? This was like early fucking days, right? And I'm like, shit, that's fucking close. I get off this fucking bus and I run, right? Literally, like I get off the bus like 6 stops fucking early and I leg it. And I get there, go to catch it, fucking runs away, right?
Yeah.
And it like literally, it ruined my day. I didn't even go to where I was going. I went home. Like literally, I went home.
Bro gave up. Mission failed. We'll get him next time. He went home.
Right. and to this day, I have it in my calendar as the day I lost my first Dragonite. Like so
Fuck
so I definitely have those kind of memories too. So then again, fast forward again. Like so I'm assuming when you started playing, you said you lived in Chicago, right?
No, I actually still lived here in California. I was just visiting family.
Okay, because so I guess we kind of jump forward like a pretty sort of big amount. So obviously, just before COVID really hit, and we have like remote raids introduced, and I helped found the group Waffle Crew. Shout out all in man. Which is how I became friends with you. Yeah. And I remember, so I think you filled in like the application sheet that we did. And yes, I don't remember who it was. Someone who was in.
It was a pork chop, Sonny.
Basically said that you would grind raids with Kimlam, who.
Yes.
I don't know if she still plays or not. I don't know.
She does, yeah.
But I remember that being like a pretty big deal. Like within the community, she was a big deal. So I guess But I remember first speaking to you, and you were always out like grinding raids with her, like in the car and stuff. Like, so I guess but by this point, you're fully invested in the game. Like you're spending money for raid passes. So, so. How did you end up like playing with one of the, I guess, quote unquote, like best players in the world at the time, quote unquote? Because this was still like, I would say like PvP had been around, but it
wasn't nearly
in its infancy.
Like people didn't give a shit about PvP at that time. It was whatever, no one cared. So talk through how that came about.
So I'm trying to think what year it was. I mean, I guess I joined one day randomly the Irvine Tustin Pokemon Go server, which is basically where I live. And they used to host like raid trains and stuff. So like every morning and every evening after work, people would go out and they'd like go host and make sure everyone got in a lobby for 5 to 10 legendary raids, let's just say. So I had been in there for a while, and there were, I was semi-active, and there were a few people that, I'd kind of become friends with. So, not many people know this name, I guess, but the first hardcore raider before Kim Lam, was General Sharky, who I'm still friends with. So I think one time I was at probably level 30, maybe 34 or something, and I was wanting to get to 40. So I asked him like, hey, could I join you for like, whatever, like some raids? And he let me join him, and then I kept joining him and kind of became friends with, I guess, the more hardcore raid group. And then I'm trying to think. Eventually, Kim joined, and she became kind of like the like I guess more leader of the like Irvine raids and all that. So then I started going with her, and then I'm trying to think what year this was, like 2018, 2019, I think was the prime of when we were raiding. Like pretty much every single weekend, we would either stay in Irvine or eventually we started going to Long Beach, because Long Beach has better gym density. But we would go out raiding from like starting when raids started at like 6 a.m. and usually going until raids ended.
I
And she had a
see.
minivan, so it would be like, I'm trying to think, usually like at least like 5 or 6 of us just in her minivan grinding raids all day.
Just like looking back, just getting in a stranger's minivan.
Yeah, dude.
Get in
It
the
was,
yeah.
Is
Get in the
fucking
car.
right.
Get in the car. Whip pulls out. Get in the car. It's like anywhere up, mate. If that was in London, where I first like, you must be mad. I ain't getting in no one's car for no raids. I'll walk it. I'll meet you there. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Like I ain't getting in no
Yeah.
one's whip to do raids.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky with the group that I did end up with. It was definitely more of a gradual thing, but I got to know them, become good friends with them, and yeah, I guess become a part of like the Irvine hardcore rating group. Um, and then yeah, I guess that was, I'm trying to think. I think 2018, 2019, and then moving into 2020, obviously we had the pandemic. And that's when remotes started, and
Oh
um,
days.
I think that was kind of when I was getting a little bit more serious with PvP too. So I started, rating for like XL for basically any important boss.
Yeah.
And then there were like World Wafu Crew and Hell Raiders and all these raid groups that were starting to emerge. So I think I'd somehow known Pork Chop Sonny already. So I think I sent him a message, and he was the one who basically got me connected with the application
Yeah.
and stuff to join the group.
Yeah. See, like it's so funny, like to hear that back because I remember at the time, like 'cause obviously at this point, like COVID is like well and truly like like on the way in. So
Yeah,
everyone is like fucking hell, like it's time to like raid and just
yep,
getting bombarded, and I mean bombarded with applications. And
yeah.
we set up this stupid fucking application sheet, and it was fucking stupid.
Do you still have like, you don't have to like link it or anything now, but just for like maybe reading afterwards or anything or for reflecting, do you have access to that application sheet, or can you roughly remember the stuff on it?
Yeah, potentially. I remember at the height of it, I think we had like 220 people had applied.
What were you asking? Name, bank account, was it a mum's maiden name? You got on some scamming.
It was mainly based on time zones.
Yeah,
Oh, you wanted people to cover all. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like it's really funny because so basically, like it was a really well looked after spreadsheet, like really well. We had a section of applications that we'd rejected. We had some big fucking names that had been rejected, like big fucking YouTubers that we'd like rejected because we're just like, they're not fucking interested.
Hit a reversal at one point.
Yeah. We had reverse from the group at one point. We had Pogue AK who applied to join.
Oh god.
No, he did. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. Fleece King as well.
It's not a bad person to have, I guess.
But yeah, so so then obviously from there, like, you start reading hardcore. See, those are the good old days. I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to bring this up purely as a personal thing. So you mentioned not going to Long Beach. Fuck the Long Beach Raiders. All right? Fuck them. Because I remember this. When we first broke the record for the most raids in 24 hours, we got a player in particular. I'm not going to name him, because I'm not trying to cause drama. But so we smashed the record. like we absolutely fucking smashed the record, right? And we did it on like Articuno, something stupid like that, and we did
double weakness though. So
but then so we did this before there was the distance glitch, before the in-person glitch, yada yada, whatever. We set up this entire fucking system hour by fucking hour. It was crazy, and it was basically
stuff.
Yeah, and it was crazy. So we basically said we had to have 3 people who were there the entire time to make the record official.
Oh yeah.
Right? And then the fucking week after, when we had Moltres in raids, Long Beach beat our record with the person who was in our train. He took the system that we set up and owned, took it back. Wow. And then they fucking beat it. Fuck you, man, you fucking
So what is the record currently? Has anyone beaten that? Do we know?
Oh God.
It has to have been beaten.
I don't know what the record is now.
What did you lot do, just for reference? Like, what did you do on the Articunos?
So it's really funny. So we were quite slow. Looking back now, I think we managed to do like 370, 400 maybe, which is crazy because moving forward, like you could do 400.
You could DOS that in less than 4 hours. Yeah,
easy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But back then, no one was playing at that level of efficiency.
And it's money as well. You have to think, like, at the time was certain. I'm just gonna. I've got a flag in the background. Was that known to the masses?
No, it wasn't.
So there's a financial barrier as well. Yeah.
It was a very expensive record that we'd all, we were all very much aware of what we were getting into. Just do it together, and it kind of put our group's name on the map, which is really cool. It was really good to be part of that. So then you join Wafu, like.
I think I joined slightly before COVID. I think I joined January.
Yeah, and not to like be egotistical of that guy, but like I would consider our group at that time basically like royalty in the Pokemon Go community. Like
we were well known. Yeah.
But basically everyone who was anyone wanted to be a part of this group. They, people wanted to raid as hardcore as we did, and we had the biggest players, quote unquote, on Twitter because that's mainly where we operated. Like people with like thousands of followers at the time, which was crazy at the time. I'm going on a bit of a tangent in my head. I'm thinking because to me, like those were like my golden years of the game. Those are the reasons why I still played the game the way I do is to meet up with my friends from Wafu group at every fucking Go Fest and everything like that. Because during COVID, obviously Cade was there. Dude, we used to sit in Discord for like 10 hours a day.
I remember you. I remember you telling me you just sit there like 10 hours, just brain rotting, raiding. Yeah,
and literally just raid, chat, and laugh because no one had anything else to do. And I keep going back to it. Like, honestly, I was so grateful for that because without having that, I don't know where.
You met so many people, like Cade, obviously one of them. Is it where you met Jake as well? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. Met Jake as well.
You have to think, man. If you didn't set it up, or it didn't come into fruition, it's like think about all the people you may not have ended up meeting. You might have met them some other way, but
exactly. It's a proper what's the phrase? The butterfly effect.
Yes.
Like quite literally. And during COVID, when it was really fucking lonely, because no one could fucking go out. It was such a blessing, like just be able to sit in voice call with, with all these people and talk and laugh and joke, and then we started doing games nights outside of Go. It was so good. It was so fucking good. Loved it. And then fast forward to the penultimate nerf. the raids, which I guess kind of transitioned you more into a PvP player.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know, Cade is an incredible PvPer. I'm not trying to gas up your ego, but genuinely one of the best players that I personally know. Like at the time, you were hitting legend every fucking season repeatedly.
Yeah.
You were still raiding tons.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're probably arguably the best Master League player in the world at one point because
Yeah.
I remember asking for advice when I was getting into PvP, and I genuinely just couldn't even comprehend with half the stuff you were telling me. I was just like fucking mind blown. So
Yeah.
So talk to us. At what point did it go from PvP sort of moving toward PvP?
Trying to think. I mean, like I said, I'd always been doing single stuff. So I already had like the competitive Pokemon background. And PvP also gave me like somewhere, I guess, to use my rating. Because I enjoyed rating, but it kind of got old at some point, like just seeing the number get bigger. I mean, it's cool for a while, but I like to be practical. So I guess like actually giving me a use with those Pokemon. So I think I'm trying to think like started PvP. Yeah, I mean I still have hit legend every season, but earlier on I was, like literally when PvP verse dropped, I was like doing my 5 kilometers to play a set. Um
I forgot that you had to do that. It was like because obviously in the main series games you had the verse seeker, and if you wanted to face someone again, whether you wanted to farm like rewards in terms of like money or anything like that, then you'd have to go on the verse seeker. You'd have to walk to charge it up. So I remember that
yeah,
bit. That was
yeah.
Pokemon Go's sort of take on that. But was it 5 kilometers or 3? I can't remember. Like dead ass. Like
It was 5.
it was 5K.
Yeah, it was a lot.
5K a day, No, hell no.
Yeah.
No. 5K per
5K
set.
per set. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, who didn't think's playing this game? Mo Farah, they lost their minds. Like, that's not happening. Nah, man.
Yeah, so like literally I would like walk my 5 kilometers and like wherever the fuck I was, I would just start playing my set and hope I had decent reception. Um, but so I started doing that, and then Sylph came out and started doing the monthly cups. And trying to think, like I said, the Irvine Tustin already had a really active community, and so that kind of translated into Sylph as well, and so did just SoCal in general. So I did the first cup, Boulder Cup, or I think I went 2-2 or something, maybe 3-1, something like that. I did okay. And then I kind of took a break for a few months. I think I was like just doing GBL and just trying to grind that. And then I got back into GBL. I think it was around, or not GBL, back into Sylph. I think it was like I want to say May or June. I think it was Rainbow Cup and Jungle Cup.
Jungle Cup was good. I think that was my first cup because I think Jungle Cup was when it was like I don't know about the US, but in the UK it was sort of like lockdown. It was like that was it. And then for me, I was like that's probably when I made the same sort of not jump. Not that I wasn't trying to play it before anyway, but it was like it was no better opportunity to play than when you're locked in your room and have nothing else to do.
Yeah, because I think Jungle Cup was like Vigoroth and Venomoth, if I remember correctly.
Venomoth. I think Blaziken was decent. Blaziken was good.
Yeah. That one. They all kind of melt together for me.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I think Jungle Cup was pre-COVID, or at least the first version of it. I think it was.
Or am I thinking Forest? Maybe I'm thinking Forest because they done like a similar Jungle Forest, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that was summer of 2019.
Yeah, that was before COVID.
Because
Yeah.
Yeah, because I did. Yeah, I started at the start and then I took a break until like summer. Then I was pretty consistently playing. And then I guess that was like the start of my PvP. Really, I had a few friends who had stuck with it the whole time, Sylph the whole time. And then I remember like going into like the fall and winter. I was like, trying to grind for Sylph Worlds and the regionals and all that. And I think I remember LA had a mega tournament. It was December of 2019. I remember that being like huge, like that was like the biggest thing for Pokemon Go PvP at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously I was able to go to it, and I think I did pretty well. I went like 6-3 or something.
That was when
Like
like what
ended
was
up.
the maximum rounds? The maximum rounds were like I think it was like if you got a 5 rounder that was good, and then on these mega ones it was
Yeah,
like you were able to have like 8, maybe 9, and if you like,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then nowadays when they had it before Sylph went, if you swept one of them like 9-0 or 8-0
You,
or so, you qualify for like whatever it is you need to
yep,
intercontinentals or worlds or whatever it is. Yeah,
yeah.
crazy,
So
it's
I
crazy.
remember doing that. I went 6-3, and I think I jumped up pretty well on like the like local leaderboards and stuff. I think I did like semi well compared to most of my friends. So then I stuck with it. I can't remember the cup that was after that, the January cup, but then I remember Love Cup was February. Um, Obviously, like COVID started not that long after, so I remember doing a few locals for that. And then I think I also joined the Go Stadium. I don't know if you guys remember the Go Stadium lobbies,
I
where
vaguely do. I never joined them, but I vaguely do. Yeah.
yeah. So I started joining. I got in a lobby there, and I was pretty much, I think, in every single lobby I was in, I was in first place. So I started grinding those and climbing up pretty high, and started making some PvP friends that were non-locals, I guess. Um, and then I think Toxic Cup was, I think that was March. It was March or April, basically right when COVID was starting. I remember I had my, I guess like regional, which was online, because of COVID. Um, and I remember not doing so good and being frustrated and kind of, wanting to improve. Um, so then I'm trying to think. Did, I did online Sylph for I think a year-ish maybe. Um, and I was decent. I can't remember how high I got, but it was good enough. Like I was probably one of the top players in California. Um, then I guess the next big part of my PvP journey is I'd continue doing GBL. But I wasn't like super super involved in the PvP community always. And then I started doing factions. That was like I guess the big next jump for me. Um, I got recruited by admittedly a really really toxic person to the SoCal Swablu just because he
Name
had
drop.
remembered me from locals.
Name drop.
Josh always says name drop, but will never drop names. Do not let him do this. Like
I
you.
don't care. His name is R6 Racing.
Oh shit,
He
fair.
was a really big
Is it
problem.
R6 Racing like R6? Is that his full?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay, yeah,
yes.
I'm,
He
I'm,
called
I'm,
me
I'm
Racing.
glad. I'm glad we mentioned
Yeah.
this. Glad we
Yeah,
mentioned it.
because I remember you messaging me one night about him. I, I vividly remember you being like, "Dude, this is putting me off doing
Yeah.
PvP." Like, period.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so he had recruited me. I guess I'll go through the story briefly. He was the captain of SoCal Swablu. He had recruited me with the purpose of playing field, like the, Great League Cups. And then kind of like before the cycle started, he was their Master League player at the time. And he saw that like because at the time like almost nobody had Zacian or anything.
yeah,
So I had like I basically had a full Master League roster already. So he
yeah.
was like, okay, you can transition into Master League and I'll play field. Um, so I think I 3-0'd my first opponent and then I 2-1'd. I still remember this. I 2-1'd. I would have 3-0'd if my opponent didn't get the crunch debuff. But basically started off
And that's
5-1.
still valid today. That's
I
still
do that.
fucking
Yeah.
valid today.
Well, so that's
I don't know.
that's 3 years. Yeah, 3 years on, and the crunch debuff is still an issue. Like
Yeah.
they need
Yeah.
to fix
Still
that.
remember it. Um. So yeah, I went 5.
Oh, you there?
Was that
You're back. You're back.
he also was not doing great in field. So I don't think he wanted to admit it, but he was obviously kind of mad that, I was doing well and he wasn't, despite it being a team sport. So, we were also 2-0 as a team at the point, and I think we were playing the Canadian Shield on, if I remember correctly. Who I'm now friends with a lot of those people. It was them or it was DAF, Defense Alberta Forum. I forget which one it was.
Some Canadian faction you didn't like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was one of those two. But I think, how on Tuesday player locks are, like everyone locks in what position they play. He was getting really cocky and he also wanted to play Master League. So he ended up moving around the whole roster. Like Ultra League player had to play like, a Field Cup. I was moved to Great League. Like everyone was just moved around. And we basically got stomped because, everyone wasn't playing what they were used to.
Yeah.
Except of course he won his Master League match.
Yeah. Can I just say I'm looking back on messages with him and there's not a lot of them. But I'm not gonna read them all out. But the general gist when I was asking about what tier he's in, he was saying I don't know if this was at the same time or if it was in the same you were in the same faction at this point. But he was saying it was in Diamond, but I'm not the normal Master League guy. Our Master League wanted to do Nightfall. Well, we tried, and then I don't know, man. And then other than that, he just messaged me all the time when I was sleeping because I think there was a mad time zone difference. Yeah, I got the impression from messages he was a bit our guy wanted to do this and that. He didn't seem like the most welcoming, fun-loving bloke out there.
No, he's pretty toxic. Yeah. So I guess with that, we lost the week, and I had just joined the team and I didn't I didn't have too much stake in it, but I was basically I don't want to say I blew up in the chat, but I was like, what the fuck was that?
You popped off, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this? Come on, dude, why? And I basically exposed him, and I talked to other, I was friends with with the Ultra League specialist at the time, who was also, my local, and who I considered, my mentor at the time. And he also totally agreed with me, so I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. So I kind of, went at him, was like, hey, this is fucked up and all that. And then he kicks me from the team chat and, a bunch of other stuff, and he sent me, a long paragraph being like, I'm not a team player, all this shit.
Faction beef is, unrivaled, right? I don't know, why was there so much, you'd expect it between factions, but, in-house, a civil war, it's actually mental. That is a game, man. A team one at that.
Yep. So, I basically called him out, and other people agreed with me, but they didn't really want to say it. So I got kicked week 3, and then there were I guess 2 of the co-captains at the time basically convinced him to add me back, but I could no longer play Master League. So I played Field a few times or whatever, didn't do so good, and then I think the end of season came, and I had already made my decision, obviously, that I wasn't returning, and he was also like, yeah, you're not fucking coming back. So, it was a mutual...
bitch, I don't want to come back. I don't care. Yeah, bitch, please.
Yeah. And then it was actually pretty funny. I was friends with Cochino Mom at the time, or I guess I still am. And I think her and them fought when it was for a playoff spot or something, and I'd been off the roster at that point, and I was helping her prepare to beat him.
Nice. And you did, or?
I think she did beat him, yeah.
Nice.
But then I was looking for, a new faction. I got a few offers. I got 3 I mainly remember were the Hidden Power, the EU team.
Shit, he was coming for your position, Thomas.
I'm glad we brought it up. So at the time, it was I was reading back through the messages. It was so where did we start? In the open, obviously in open like everyone else. First ever cycle, we started okay. It was a weird sort of. It was when Shadow Machamp was good, and that wasn't. I didn't like that. And it was when you could only spend you could only have like one legend. Like, it was really weird, like the points and the tier system, whatever it was at the time. Then it was like EU Silver, and EU Silver was a struggle for Thomas. And then it was like, right, we were getting to the point where it was like we wanted to start becoming more serious because we started just as friends, and then we were looking like we had the only people we'd really recruited were like friends of friends and like mutuals and stuff. So then it was like, I remember Sammy at the time. Oh, fucking Sammy as a captain, they were the funny days, man. That's what I'm saying. Faction beef was unrivaled when Sammy was captain, and then we wanted to become serious. We had to like, he couldn't be captain. But anyway, it was like, yeah, we're looking at these players. We're looking at like, oh, like Frost has said he's interested. Da da da. And I basically said like, I will step up. I promise. Like, I had no way of like really like, you know, fulfilling his promise. If I got like packed in, then it's like, well, this is awkward, isn't it? And like, I think fortunately for me, I was like, I didn't get packed in, or the meta was actually good for me. So it was like, okay, we didn't need Frost. And what were the other factions that were interested in you at the time, or you were interested in?
Yeah, so it was you guys. It was in power, and I was like, I wasn't sure about the time difference and stuff. So I declined, and then it was Phoenix Rising, who it was funny. Phoenix Rising, they had like multiple people from their team message me saying that they wanted me. But then the last one, which I ended up joining, was NEB because I'd already known a few people from basically a previous like PvP lobby, I guess. It's like a more exclusive PvP lobby. With like at that point I had like a lot of like the high level players, and so I had already known people from that, so I decided to go with them. And yeah, from there I don't know, you know, was solidly the Master League player and had, quite a few good cycles. We started at the bottom in bronze, and we ended up promoting, every single time up to,
That's when
I
there
guess
was
more
there was double promotion for winning. I think there was.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was double promotion. So we promoted from bronze to
to gold.
gold,
Yeah,
and gold, platinum, platinum, diamond, diamond, emerald. Um,
nice.
so what was one, two, that was like 4 or 5 cycles.
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, we I think we came in second in emerald, only losing to, I think it was Pogoats if I remember correctly. And then I guess it was last summer, yeah, that we had Sylph Worlds where we ended up coming in third place, only losing to Metal Raptors, who came in second.
And
So
who was first? Was it ETMS?
yeah, it was ETS. Yeah. Who
Tryouts.
we've been quote unquote, not really now, but we used to be rivals.
I remember the memes and the rivalries where it was like a new rival appeared, and it was like, I think they memed on you first because you know what
Yeah.
people like Yasser and Smash are like, and then like I can't remember what it was exactly. I think you might have beaten them at some point. I can't remember. Like, do you remember beating them? And I think if you did, you like either then you beat them or you didn't, but you memed on them so hard afterwards. I can't remember what it was. Like, of a similar sort of take.
Yeah, unfortunately they beat the shit out of us when we played them. But then we got our revenge, like, I'm trying to think, it was probably like a year and a half ago now when we played them in Emerald and we beat them up pretty well.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so that was fun. Obviously, like, I'm friends with a lot of those people now, and it doesn't really matter. But at the time, it was like kind of like some PvP drama.
It was funny,
Yeah.
man. I love that time.
It's so funny the three of us being here as Master League players because even when I played factions, I played one. Sorry, no, I played 2 cycles for LF, and I joined. I think we were in Diamond.
You work. I remember playing you. I remember packing you in twice, and I think they were both in Diamond.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but fuck you, Vic.
It's how we met, man. Come on.
Yeah, I remember when joining, there was drama about me joining because,
Oh really?
our current Master League player,
Wait, you've gone. I can't hear you, but I'm trying to remember the players at the time.
Moved out, and so I remember going in with like purpose, basically. So this guy was like, he's never played factions before, yada yada yada. Like,
Name drop.
Like you can't just
Name drop.
Yeah, you can't just drop me, blah blah, whatever.
Drop names.
And no.
Name drop.
No. As in, I genuinely don't remember his name at all.
Can I say some names and you'll confirm? Because I'm trying to remember who played Master League at the time. There was like obviously Ilian played, and then there was like Star Trainer Sammy. Was that the guy? I remember playing him.
No, I don't think so.
No.
But yeah, and then I remember coming in, and on my first cycle in the entire division, I had the highest win rate of the entire fucking league across every like category. I remember the season coming to an end, and I just had tons of people just DMing me on Discord, like looking for Master League player. You interested? You're interested? And I was like, fucking hell, man! It was at the time. It was like Master League players were like trying to find diamonds in the rough. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I basically got in because I think I got in because I had arguably the biggest Master League roster. Out of basically everyone. But I backed the beef, man. I backed it. And then I played 2 cycles and I dropped out, and then that was it. I was done.
What was your last battle like in factions? Do you remember?
I do, but I'd rather not talk about it. I don't sound like I'm like talking shit about the faction, but I left for a reason.
I was more alluding to the fact that I knew you'd bring your Zarude, and then I just brought Lugia and packed you in 3-0. But I didn't realise it was getting deeper than that. But we can go there if you want to go there. Yeah. If not, you don't have to, of course.
Listen, bro. Shut up, alright? Shut up, man. Alright?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so, okay, the reason why he brings that up is because that's how I met Thomas. Because we played in factions, and we were like, fucking hell, like, there's basically nowhere for Master League players to practice. And obviously that's when Master League then came about. And then here we are, years later, doing a fucking shitty fucking podcast for this prick.
Coming up with baby names.
Yeah, so, even I remember at the time, Master League players were fucking hard to come by. And finding a good Master League player was even harder to come by because, it's by far, like, the smallest played meta, I guess. So, so then you joined NEB, and that's really become like home to you, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Within all.
Oh, you're gone again.
Introverted, I guess, and then next thing you know, like you're going here with NEB, you're going there, you're doing this, doing that. So I guess talk through how NEB became like.
I don't know. I just kind of clicked with a lot of the people, and then, I guess I joined them mid-COVID. I guess kind of later on in COVID actually. But at that point I was like kind of itching to do, to go like actually go out and stuff and travel. So I remember the first I went to Seattle Go Fest with them. And then from there I'm trying to think, I did a bunch of regionals, like Baltimore, Orlando, a few more, Hartford, with them, and I don't know, they basically just like, I felt like I fit in well, we all got along super well, and it was never like, with a lot of factions, they seem like they're only there to be competitive. But the thing I like about NEB is that we're like, pretty much a group first. And then like, obviously we do well in factions as well. But friends first is kind of like our thing. So I enjoyed that. And also I'm competitive, so I like to win, obviously. So we've had a pretty damn good I guess record and like promotions and all that, accolades. So yeah, that's that's I guess a bit of my history with them, and they also helped me a lot become better at Great League because I mean I'd
Yeah,
always been decent, but it wasn't like
yeah,
like especially in the past year I feel like I went from like being like kind of behind in scrims and always to sort of being like one of our most consistent players in Great League with play Pokemon and such.
yeah. So I guess to move on to something a bit more podcast related. So for anyone listening back, for someone who doesn't know, because I've brought up a lot, I'm part of the admin team for LF London's Finest, and we do host the best socials in the world. Right? They're parties. Everyone turns up. We show out. We get fucking drunk. We dance. We have a good time. The only other group in the world that we'd ever heard of who were doing anything even remotely like that was your faction, NEB.
Yeah,
Granted, on slightly smaller scales.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. We kind of did
uh,
things more like house parties.
yeah, it was more like house party stuff. So yeah, so talk through the first house party you remember NEB doing.
Oh God. Um, trying to think. The first like um, there were two of them, I guess. The first one that I kind of remember, it wasn't as big. We had a very small Airbnb, but in Baltimore of what 2022. I was still 20. But we ended up going to a bar and they didn't ID. So I got a drink there, and then we went back and Kaiser made a rum and coke for me that was like 80% rum, 20%
Yeah,
coke.
yeah,
Good ratios.
And
Good ratios.
that was like basically the first time that I got like absolutely drunk and like
yeah.
had a hangover and stuff.
Did you
So
throw
that
up?
was
Did you throw up?
fun. No, I didn't.
It's good.
No.
Good effort.
Yeah, it doesn't
Um,
count. It doesn't count.
Trust me, I've thrown up at many other.
But if not on your first time, then you've not pushed yourself. If you haven't thrown up in the pool on a family holiday in 2015 Turkey, you've not done it right. I don't know anyone that's done that, but I heard that's the level. But no, continue. So yeah, house parties,
Yeah,
80-20 on the rum and coke, which strong ratio. I approve.
yeah. Um, and then I'm trying to think. Like we did a few more regionals where we actually had a house, like Orlando and Hartford, where we had more people over. Like Josh was saying, I'm kind of a little bit more introverted. I've gotten a lot better since, but was definitely like a lot for me to, I guess, when there were so many people and I was a little overstimulated.
Loose a little
Um,
bit.
I guess I
yeah,
know I know a lot of people that even that they wouldn't class themselves as quote unquote introverted, but then you go from like 2019, like even 2016 to 2019, sort of like I remember those years for me personally being good years. Pokemon Go came out. It was like 2018 for me. There was a lot of fond memories of football, and then obviously COVID happened, and then a lot of people sort of socially sort of like shut down because there was no need for them to socialize unless it was like on
yeah,
the internet. Like the internet was obviously a big help for a lot of people, like you guys mentioned with Wafu and everything. And then I guess to come out after the back of COVID and the pandemic and just try and interact with the world and everyone in it as normal would be quite difficult for anyone. So I know it was difficult for me. I felt like COVID definitely like destabilized me like to some degree in terms of like social abilities and definitely heightened my social anxiety. So yeah, I get completely what you're saying there.
yep, things changed a lot. But yeah, no, it was good. I had um a little bit of drama too with some other parts of the Pogo community, which I've since become friends with them. But that was also a little stressful at the time. But yeah, I guess I don't know. From there I don't know, we did, I'm trying to think, Orlando, Hartford, then this past year, um, we did like Charlotte, we did NAIC, we did Orlando again. Um, so, just doing a bunch of, I guess, kind of hangouts and stuff. So it's also kind of nice because usually, um, it's like if you do well and you make day two, then it's like, that's awesome. because you're obviously doing well. But if you don't, then it's just like you get to go back and hang out with friends and not worry.
Win or lose,
about-
mate. Win or lose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lose.
exactly.
You see, it's funny hearing you say that because, like, you say if you lose, you get to hang out. Over here,
it's when we lose. So when we're done, innit? We know that the day's waiting.
It's like here. It's like cool. I'm actually glad I've not made day 2 because it means I get to go out and get fucked up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was Orlando you first.
Cut a bit. Turn you up.
Came along to one of the house parties, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So Orlando 2023. That was my first top cut. I ended up getting, I guess, top 7, which I mean, I definitely want to go further, but and then yeah, so we obviously that Saturday night going into that Sunday, I was kind of annoyed with people because they were like up late playing poker and stuff, and I was like, I want to try and do well, so but it was kind of loud still, so. Yeah, I didn't end up doing so well, but I definitely learned a lot from it, and I feel like my play Pokemon, like I grew a lot since then. To like obviously, like I said, I wish I could have gone further, but I think what happened then led me to go further.
It was meant to happen. You were meant to finish top 7 then. You weren't meant to finish any higher because it would have meant that maybe you didn't finish. Yeah, butterfly effect, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, so just to kind of reiterate on that, something that me and Thomas obviously want to know. What's probably like one of the craziest stories from one of the NEB parties? Any like real like outrageous funny shit that happened when someone was like drunk, or even yourself was fucking drunk, or
I can't not think of Brown Ball every time I ask this question, and I hate it. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Crazy drunk things. It wasn't really a house party for NEB, but we also did Japan together. So Japan has an open drinking law, so you're able to just like go grab, a beer at the 7-Eleven and just walk with it and drink it. So most of those nights got pretty crazy. There were like 1 or 2 nights where it was, I'm trying to think of what time it was. It was probably like 2 a.m. by that time, 3 a.m. And Bo Sox kept wanting to go to a not a strip club, but like
why in my head? I'm sorry, I didn't want to say it in case you were like no, but why in my head when you paused did I think he was gonna say strip club?
A hostess bar you're talking about, right? A hostess bar.
Kind of like that, I guess. It wasn't a strip club. It ended up kind of being I guess just like a club in general, like a dance club. But the place was called Diamond, so it was kind of like
I hate him.
alluding more.
Yeah.
But he was pretty damn drunk, and I mean we all were, but we had to basically like he kept running around the streets of Tokyo, and we kept having to be like, come on, let's go back to the hotel. Let's let's try and do it tomorrow. So that was pretty fun. I'm trying to think of what other crazy experiences we had. I don't know. It's been fun to we've done a few like factions battles like together in person while drinking. So there was in Orlando 2013, I believe we played one of the Illinois teams, but it was Bo Sox, J Mills, and myself all went back to back to back while drinking, and we started off the bout with 8-1. So we had 2 sweeps and 1-2-1. So that was pretty fun. I mean, there's been more crazy stuff too. Like, we had somebody who stayed with us. I believe it was Mama Climbs. I believe she had a friend who came to Orlando to hang out, and she got kind of crazy, and there was like glass spilt into the pool and all that. So there's definitely been some crazy moments.
Dude, I'm so glad we've never done anything that involved a swimming pool with LF because it would be fucking chaos. And I know it would because me and Thomas would be in that shit like straight away, like not giving a fuck. I know it would happen.
Get the snorkel out.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, I remember like one of my fondest drinking memories from a Pokemon event. It's probably with a mutual friend of all of ours, Des. Shout out Des, what a fucking guy.
Big man, Andreas.
I remember all night he was talking the most. Oh, Brits can't drink, blah blah blah. In America we drink more. We do this, yeah. And then we ended up in like pub sort of slash club. You can't really call it a club. I remember we'd finished the main social at they kicked us out early because there was way too many people. So we fill out this like pub slash club, and whatever. And so Des had like become part of our group by that point. And yeah, I remember going to him, right, like now it starts. And he's like, what starts? I was like, the drinking starts. He's like, the fuck do you mean? Like hour and a half, 2 hours later, he looks at me and he was like, "Dude, I need to go home." And like, I'm fucked. And I'm like, "Go home." Like, we just started.
Where was this? Because I vaguely remember like him getting on it in the Alchemist. Was it? We were the Alchemist that night.
No,
I think of a different night.
No. That was the night after. We were in the Electric Shuffle.
It all felt like the same. Where he got the shots and we was like, what? They're called the fuck. They're called the fuck me shots. It was like some weird shit.
Yeah. So he was putting on the stereotypical big American. I am like the man persona. So he got a tray of shots for for our table because unfortunately Josh and Thomas have a very bad reputation for being like the party goers in the group. We turn up.
Yes.
What he didn't realise was within our group, if you buy one round of shots, everyone is going to buy.
Unwritten law, yeah. If you start the round, it's like that's why a circle is round. Yeah. It has to go full circle, and we all have to get a tray.
He bought this round of shots. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to get you boys fucked up." And then like hour and a half later, he looked at me and he literally said, "Man, you guys in England just fucking do it different." He's like, "I need to go home." We carried on.
Like not even home, like home that night. Like he's like, "I need to go back to America. It's not safe here. Get me out."
Yeah, and it was just such a fond memory. So funny. He walked in with this big like stereotypical American like male energy. Oh, blah blah, Brits can't drink, yada yada yada, and he got a tray of shots for the table, and like I said, just didn't realize that if you brought a table of 9 shots, those 9 other people were buying a tray of shots. So
you buy 9 shots, you've basically bought what? You bought 81 shots.
Yeah. So Thomas, you don't remember? So the table we stood on had like a call for service button on the table in the middle.
Yeah, because for some reason I remember that because you say fondest memories, but like I was at the bar, it fucked me off. So they wouldn't let me bring the tray over. I'm like, why can't I bring a tray over? And I was like, oh, you're not allowed in case you drop it. I was like, I work in a bar and have over like X amount of years bar experience. I promise you, I'm not gonna drop this tray. So they're like, no tray. We bring it over. I'm like, well, I don't want you to bring it over. So then I grabbed them while I was like, I'll take it. And then he went over. I dropped at least 2, but I was like, that's because I didn't have the tray because I was worse for wear. But yeah man, I remember that in Electric Shuffle.
Yeah, it was so fucking funny. So so in the middle of the table because it's super uncommon here. England of like table service type thing, but this bar we were in had like a service button in the middle of the table, and this poor girl came over, ordered around the shops. She came back, and then the next person along was like, bring another fucking 9 over, just going round and fucking round. It was so fucking funny. So fucking funny. He was fucking battered. We met up with him the next day, and he was like, "Dude, I'm never going drinking with you guys again. I can't fucking hack it." Yeah, like for me, that's one of the big fucking stand-up memories. Probably Madrid as well. Madrid Go Fest just gone. Dude,
Yeah.
I
I know.
still
I
don't
gotta
think
reach out to one of them.
dude, I still don't think I've ever been that hungover in my
God.
life. In my life. Yeah, we had what was the official count? We had 417 people show up. Right? Yeah, it was fucking.
Yeah, me walking over to a group with like Brandon Tan pouring rakia down everyone's throats. Like Brandon Tan's going like, oh, that sounds a bit mad, but yeah, Brandon Tan putting in everyone's mouths.
Yeah, no, it was so funny. It was so funny. I was going outside to vape, and so he knew me because I talked to him anyway, and
because you saved the social at the finery.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
and so I'm going out to smoke, and he sees me, and he's fucking shouting, Josh. And next thing you know, he's pouring this. What was it called?
It was like lemon rakia or something.
Rakia?
Yeah, it was like lemon rakia. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Rakia is fucking strong. Right. Rakia is like 47%, and he's just like fucking pouring it. We're just fucking drinking from the bottle. It was a long night. So those kind of drinking memories I love. To be fair, I really hope you can make it over at some point.
I gotta try. Yeah.
Even if not for like EUIC.
I was gonna say it kind of transitions. So like, I know obviously we're gonna talk a bit maybe about like Worlds this year in a bit more depth and maybe a bit more about Japan. But in terms of like, have you seen like the new sort of updates for the new play Pokemon season and everything? In terms of like I think it's five tournaments including an IC go towards your best finish. So I think literally, I can't remember. I think it's only one IC goes towards it, or if you go to more IC, like ICs are still overpowered, but like I don't know if going to EUIC, NAIC, and LAIC would basically like sort you out in the same way. I've not looked into it that much.
It depends how you do, but you'll be pretty set if you do all three. I'm probably gonna hopefully be able to do NAIC, and then UIC is maybe, I don't know. It really will depend on I'm graduating college in the spring, so all that kind of stuff, because I think UIC is in February.
They've moved it now. Yeah. They've moved it. It used to be like end of April, but now they've put it in February, which is it isn't annoying, but it's like I don't understand the change, but yeah, it's one of them ones.
I don't know. I'll see what I can do. But yeah, I wasn't going to grind points this year. Honestly, I was gonna take the season off or do whatever, but they announced it. Worlds is in Anaheim, which is like 15 minutes away from where I live. So I kind of feel like I have to now.
Yeah, I guess if it's you have the luxury, quote unquote, of it being so close to you that you'll be there in any capacity. Not saying that obviously you're not gonna, like you said, not grind the points and try and qualify, but either way, I guess you can still be there like regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I guess that's quite nice then.
But yeah, I kind of, because I mean I'll get to it in a bit, but I definitely still like feel like I can do better and improve. I mean I had a decent run, but I wish I could go further. So I still think there's more for me to prove, basically.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I mean, I can name drop because it's sort of public, but it's like I know a lot of people took to Twitter to express their concerns / frustrations with a bunch of things. But I read it and it just in my head it just seems like a you problem. But from what they were saying, it was like there was some frustrations with a few things, and the way that they were saying it was like it just sounds like you're making excuses. So there was frustrations with the current double elimination system, which I understand. There was frustrations with the current meta, which again I can understand, right? But I'll get to the kicker in a bit. There's frustrations with the distance, especially for EU trainers, and with the last. Obviously, it going from London, which was quite convenient for EU trainers, obviously, to Japan, to, America, America.
Yeah.
So there's the whole, was it 18 hours travel for the best part for a lot of European players to go there and not do as well as they like. But it's
Yeah, I saw Tom's tweet.
yeah, that's basically what I was alluding to. Yeah, but the main kicker is obviously the distance isn't the same for everyone, but the location's the same for everyone. There's never going to be like, you have to think there will probably be people that felt that way about London, or maybe that way about Japan, and
Exactly.
also, right, the game you're playing is the same for everyone. So it's like you qualified. And conveniently in his tweet, it was like, the meta was so good like X amount of months ago. I'm like, yeah, when you came runner up at Gdansk, it was good. And then from then, it's just not been good, yeah. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of people wanted to make excuses rather than just say, like, put yourself like, oh, I know and wish I could have done better. And I always think that's just a good mindset to have rather than just be like, I'm fucking, I'm not going to try next year. What's the point traveling 20 hours to go O2? Because you'll get dickheads like me that will just say, have you tried, like, getting good? Like, I know you're good, but have you tried getting, like, better? Like, clearly,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's one of them. But what are your... So, in terms of Honolulu this year, talk to me, because I didn't get the chance to actually watch... Were any of your battles streamed?
No,
Okay,
unfortunately
that'll
not.
be why I didn't get to watch any. But talk to me. How did it go in terms of like prep, getting there, travel?
Um, yeah. So I'm trying to think. I guess starting with prep, um, things were kind of all over the place. I guess going a little bit back before, I since the meta has basically been the same largely since like Annihilate came out. So
Yeah,
so basically since like January, maybe like March, we got a few changes,
yeah,
etc. But I I'd been running the same team for basically since Orlando this year, where I think I got top 9. Then I ran it back in LA and I got 5th. And then I ran it back again at NASE and I was 1 win from day 2 at NASE. So I was like, I really like this team. It feels really strong. So initially I was planning to just run that back or run like a very small change, like having Shadow Quagsire over Shadow Witchcash. But I was doing some scrims and I realized that the meta had changed more than I thought it did. Especially with like Vigoroth got more popular. Shadow Empoleon is obviously pretty, or not Shadow Empoleon. Shadow for Alligator is obviously pretty strong.
Cress
Um,
as well went up. There was so much
yeah,
Cress. Every
Crest
time
was
I looked on
huge.
stream, someone had a Cresselia.
Yeah, and the biggest problem for my previous team was Water Gun Lantern like had shot up in usage. Um, so at that point I was like I can't really run this. So I think it was what Monday. It was Monday/Sunday, and I was flying out on Tuesday. So I kept going through different versions of the team, like swapping out like Azumarill and Lickitung for like Vigoroth and various mons, and ultimately I settled on something that was semi-similar but also a little bit different. I think I had 3 of the same mons and then 3 new ones, but they had similar roles, so it was just kind of, I guess, like role compaction and sort of fitting what worked better in the new meta.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm glad you mentioned
so
that.
I
So
ended up with
wait, just a quick one, just to probe. So in terms of like roles and stuff within the team, like talk us through like when you're like team building or like looking for things to fill specific roles, because obviously everyone has their own sort of like in their head. They're right, 6 mons. They need to meet like these sort of requirements, these specific roles, these matchups. What's your sort of thought process when it comes to team building?
um, well, I always felt like you needed some sort of like at least one at the minimum anti-steal, especially because like Skarmory is super popular right now.
Mm.
Um, Registeel has just always notoriously been good. So I knew that I wanted an anti-steal. So I guess like my first pick, which I was never really changing, was Shadow Gligar. I've seen a ton of success with it recently. I feel like it's, obviously I got nerfed now, but
Yeah.
back, a little bit ago, it was. I mean, I guess it's still good now. It hasn't been nerfed yet. Super consistent. The only thing that like truly walls it is Skarmory, and even
Is
then,
is is it is it that much anti-steal if it gets walled by the highest usage steel type?
yeah. But I like even waters as fight back
Yeah,
against, they can get some energy advantage.
yeah.
Just super strong and fast, so I felt confident with that. That was like my first like auto lock member, I guess. The other auto lock member I had was Chargebug, who I've been using it a lot, and I knew that I got comfortable with the pacing of it. I liked what it checked and stuff. It even against Mudboy teams, I felt like it was always manageable for me to bring it, especially because I had Gligar and soon to be, I guess I'll talk about my next pick, which was Skarmory. Not super crazy, I guess, pretty standard. Um, but I wanted my own Gligar check, and it just checks a lot of the meta, like Cresselia. It can pretty much damage anything, even a lot of the, like I was talking about, a lot of the electrics had become Lantern, which were water guns. So like you could still get a Brave Bird and dip and stuff. So it pretty much had play into anything.
There's not much that's gonna want to
Uh,
tank a Brave Bird apart from like steel types.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I already had three there, um, and then so yeah, Charge Bug, Licky, or no, no,
Shadow
sorry, no.
Gligar.
Uh, Bug, Shadow, Gligar, and Skarm, and then I think the next pick. I'm trying to think of what order I went in. Yeah, I think the next pick I chose was Cresselia. Just because like you were talking about it's super flexible, has good bulk. It can match up into almost anything pretty well, and because I already had one anti-steal with Gligar and soon to have another, I felt comfortable against steals with it. Even like my round one against I played Obedama, who is a Mexican player. Like I brought it consistently, and I forced his Magnezone to like shield because he threw a mirror shot instead of a wild charge. Um, so stuff like that, like it can still, even if it's bad matchups, it can still throw Moonblast and get off decent damage. So yeah, that was my fourth pick. My next pick I chose was Water Gun Lantern. I'd seen a bunch of usage, and although I had double electric, I didn't mind it at all because they both did very different things and also had different weaknesses. Like Bug doesn't like to see the fire types and all that,
Yeah.
but Lantern does not mind at all. Similarly with Mud Boys, like Water Gun Lantern does perfectly fine to Shadow Quag, and yeah, I guess Shadow Swamper, which we didn't see much of, but still. Um, so I liked kind of the fast move pressure too, because I already had, other than, I guess I had Wing Attack with Gligar and Steel Wing Skarmory, but like Cresselia wasn't providing much, so I felt like the Water Gun downs could be
It was
nice.
nice to have like a good like one turn sort of fast move pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like, all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. And then the last one, initially I had Lickitung in that spot. That's why I mentioned it earlier. But I was talking to some people, mainly Arrow and Bosox guy, um, and I realized that with Licky, my team was way too soft to Basti and I guess steals in general. And I don't know. I'd rather be prepared for Basti. I've been unprepared for Basti before, and it's pretty frustrating to get out of it. So instead of Lickitung, I decided to put Vigoroth there, which ended up basically being my MVP. Like even into Annihilate teams, I was just running it and I didn't care. Just try to get it off the Annihilate or alignment elsewhere. It's
I guess with
like
Crest, Double Flyer, Water Gun Lantern, not bad. It's like you have like decent coverage anyway.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You have multiple checks into it. And like I said, I knew I kind of wanted another anti-steal too, so it kind of accomplished that. It's not a fighting type itself, but the counter damage adds up. The body slams are pretty fast to get to, and they can stall clock and stuff if I'm in a bad situation.
Yeah.
Um,
It's dirty what
so those are the six I ended
it's
up.
dirty what they've done to it though. Like it's dirty
Yeah,
what they've
I
done
know
to
it's bad.
Vigoroth.
Rock Slide did not need to be nerfed in my opinion. Counter and Body Slam are both understandable, but like rock slide for it. Yeah, they killed
Okay,
it.
but then, okay, so from an outsider's perspective, so obviously out of the three of us, Kate, obviously you do the most play Pokemon. Thomas, you do significantly more than me. As an outsider, all this, one of the reasons why I don't enjoy play Pokemon events and I don't go out my way to do them is because I think I personally think the meta is fucking boring.
It's stale.
Boring as fuck. It's been the same basically since we've seen play Pokemon enter the circuit. You know, if
I
you
don't
go
know.
back, you know, if you go back through the 3 years,
There's obviously different. I know what you're saying. There's different iterations, but things have like generally just come to take. Like obviously, there's a top counter user, then there's a new top counter user. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I think it needs to change. And for me, I find it really funny because I've seen it on Twitter a lot. All these Pokemon Go players who were calling out for change. Something needs to change. Yada yada yada. But and then we get it. It's, you know, this upcoming update is probably the biggest update to PvP that we've ever seen. Right.
Yeah.
And people now are not fucking happy with it. Like make up your fucking mind. Like, you know, it needs to. You know, it needs to be interesting. It needs to be refreshing. You know, I guess another way that I look at it as well is if you want to get into play Pokemon now, so I guess to set up a scenario, imagine this move change coming up never happened, right? Mm-hmm. Someone who kind of wants to get into play Pokemon, they're like 3 years fucking behind, right? Yeah. I think introducing such a drastic change opens an opportunity for newer players who want to get into it to be more on a sort of a more level pegging with everyone else. I think it opens up new avenues for new players to get involved, because when such a drastic change is happening, I guess everyone is kind of starting fresh at the same time, right?
Ish. Like in terms of meta, like definition, then but in terms of obviously you know, basic game mechanics and stuff like that, that's stuff people are always going to be behind with if they started late.
Right? Obviously, basic game mechanics are always going to be there.
Yeah,
it's never going to change. You know, however, I feel like understanding game mechanics is such a small difference in comparison to being able to read the meta, because there's no guide for, you know, there's no real guide for reading the meta without actually playing it.
Yeah.
It's something we spoke about before. This is my problem with a lot of the local challenge cups, was people were going there and fucking sweeping them constantly, and you know that's not gonna prompt new players to want to go back and get involved. You know, unless the people who are doing it are actively giving advice and helping them out, and I think for me this change was so needed, and honestly, I think this next season you'll see so many new faces join the play Pokemon tournaments coming up, because it opens opportunity for everyone to have a kind of fresh start. You know, the whole meta is going to be fucking different. Which, you know, like I said, I'm just looking at it from the other side. You know, that's my view on it.
I don't know. I agree with some aspects, but I also disagree with some aspects. Like talking about like the usage, I just pulled up on Dracoviz for Worlds. The top 4 players, so or I guess 1 through 4, there are 24 Pokemon total. There were 18 unique mons, so the meta is like pretty spread out. That's just between 4 people.
Mm-hmm. Let's have a look. See what
happens. They're like, because you had like, obviously look at your Kai's team just from the top of my head. I've not got it to. Obviously there was the Shadow Quag and the Skarmory, which are sort of like, I don't know, in my opinion, watching the standout picks. And then you had Inadequates on the other hand, running a Giratina Origin and a Clodsire and a Wiggly. So it was all like, Yeah, even from those two players alone, like it's there's a lot of unique, different picks. So I don't think this is why I disagreed massively with like what Tom was saying about like the meta. It was like, it was like, oh, in his eyes, you couldn't run spice. You couldn't beat teams up with your Sea King. It's like, well, there's Clodsire, which wasn't on every team. Wigglytuff was on quite a few teams, but most of the teams I saw Wigglytuff on were the European teams. I know Pocket used it as well, but like most of them on the European teams that I saw. But Basti was up there, and you don't see Basti on every team. I think, like Josh said, it's like it's more just it's your own interpretation. Like reading a meta is your own sort of like you can misread it. You could think, you know what, I think Serperior is going to be really good for Worlds. There's going to be loads of water gun lanterns. Oh shit! But what was the top usage mod? It was like it was Skarmory, Licky. So it was like, okay, Serperior not as good. You just made a bad call, like a misread. Doesn't mean you're bad at the game. You've just misread something, which is understandable in a lot of these situations.
Yeah, and I mean there are like multiple like fringe picks as well. Like Marto, who came in third, had Whimsicott.
Yeah.
Even thinking not as I guess successful, but I mean still, what she came in top 17. Hoth had a team of all Lola Mons.
I thought that was pretty cool, to be fair.
Yeah. So like it's definitely possible to be creative. I'm just looking like Shadow Basti, Shadow Dragonite, Dugong, Superior, like you were talking about.
I'm gonna pose like not an ultimatum, but just sort of like a question that can divide opinion, and a lot of people sit on the fence. Do you feel like it's more like, and this is not just play Pokemon, this could be PvP in general, but do you feel like it's more when it comes to these tournaments? Do you feel like it's more driver or car?
It's 100% driver in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there are obviously the team is very important, but almost like a talented player can make almost any team work, in my opinion.
So like you said earlier, when you were trying to keep like a very similar team to what you were used to running since Baltimore and Orlando, maybe like I know for a while you were known as the player on the North American side of the circuit, at least that was bringing Shadow Charizard. Yeah. So obviously using picks that are familiar to you, because I always think that, like, I don't know why it always comes to this analogy in my head, but like if you put like Lewis Hamilton in my dad's car and you put my dad in Lewis Hamilton's car, it was like Lewis Hamilton will still fucking lap my dad. It doesn't matter about what car my dad's got.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it does come down to what you're able to, not the size is what you can do with it, sort of thing. Like sometimes it does come down to what you're capable of rather than how good the team is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for definitely. So I think I've mentioned this to you before. Maybe you was okay. At EUIC this year just gone, I got knocked out by Axon, and obviously I turned up hungover, obviously, because that's just very like on brand.
I've never seen someone in so much like, I don't know, in a deep state of just everything that's like regret. Just everything, not even guilt. He doesn't feel guilty. He doesn't regret anything, but regret not what he did, but regret for like, why did I sign up knowing full well what I was going to do the night before?
But I actually did pretty okay. I was happy to be, if I was going to get knocked out by anyone, why the fuck would I complain about getting knocked out by Action, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I remember playing it, and within the first 20 seconds of the game, I just remember thinking to myself,
"He's on top of you."
Hell,
I remember you telling me, "Yeah, he's just on top already." Yeah.
So I remember thinking that game one, I had pretty good matchups. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm not a great League player at all. I don't really have an understanding. I don't really practice at all. I remember having a really good lead and a pretty good save swap against his team. And within 20 seconds of the game, I was just like, fucking hell. I genuinely have no fucking chance. Period.
Yeah.
Fucking period.
Bro was in awe.
The way they're able to manage their energy and catches and stuff is just ridiculous.
It's a completely different game. But then for me, those kind of players when they attend locals, should be going out of their way to help new players. Stay an extra half an hour after, and help people out and advise them, and
I'm gonna throw a curveball only because I agree with what you're saying. I feel like that should just. I'd like to think nowadays people would just want to help bring new players into the game and foster players that are like involved in the game but want to better their understanding. Maybe bring them along to a local tournament. Like, oh fuck it, should we share accommodation or sort out flights to a regional or an IC maybe. But in general, I do think the big problem with like locals was so like not overpowered, but they were so integral in terms of like travel award and stuff. So obviously you're gonna get a lot of the same players that are going like out of the way to the point where they're traveling further for these local tournaments than they are for regionals, for whatever reason, because they're either capped out on these points, that points. But yeah, the travel award being settled by local tournaments, I always thought was pretty ridiculous anyway. Like I feel like the way that they did it before was like, I'm not going to say it was necessarily better, but it seemed like a more fairer way. You go to a tournament, you win the tournament, you get the Worlds qualification and you get the travel award. You come second, you don't quite get the travel award, you get a decent amount of prize money, right? But then obviously you get your Worlds. I don't know, like part of me probably not missed that old system because it didn't affect me personally, but like I missed seeing that system just from a sort of, because now like you have a grand final where it's like, it's different. I don't know which one I prefer as a viewer. Like two people that know they've qualified and they're gonna battle, and it's mainly just for sort of pride and the regional title and the travel award, or it's two people where it was like, right, this is everything. If I win, I qualify. If I lose, I don't. Like I don't know which one I prefer personally. I'll leave it open to you guys.
Yeah. I think the CP system is definitely very trying to think of how to describe it. Very friendly towards like I guess somebody like myself who has a lot of top cuts but has never been able to like make like first or second place.
Yeah, and that's good. I think that's really good because I've seen like some of the, sorry to cut you off, but a lot of the like players that have done quite well. I know someone like the C2U done very well, and they would always mention like he's not he's top cut before, but he's not run a regional title or an IC, and he's taking down like regional champ after every time I looked on the stream, as it probably should be with Worlds, there was someone wearing a cool little in-game regional shirt. It was like, obviously it's going to be a gauntlet, but I think the CP system was good for like Worlds quality player. It's like the big one for EU was like a mind joke. So a mind joke was like, in the old system, always got close, was third place, but never quite make it. And then I guess with the new system, obviously it rewarded consistency, but then in terms of like, so he qualified quite early, and then in terms of like travel awards and stuff, all it meant was, I'm gonna just say out here, is his girlfriend, who's obviously very involved in play Pokemon from the judging side, right, very, very involved, was able to host a load of locals, and it essentially aids these players, like, not saying that they were smashing up players that weren't good, like, they were playing amongst themselves and sort of like, kind of taking turns really just to farm these points, which I think's worse. I like, if you're doing that and you're like a group of like locals that all know that, you're going to qualify and, you've qualified already and you're just doing it for, to get the travel award. I think that's worse rather than having new players there and giving maybe new players an opportunity to play regional or like world standard like players, like a Mind Joke, like a lot of other people, instead of their first sort of, experience in playing Pokemon, going to, because unlikely most people's experience is going to be like going to a regional. Now that these locals are here, a lot of people might want to go down to the local game shop and play rather than be like, shit, I'm going to go all the way to Liverpool, I'm going to go all the way to Orlando and like, potentially get beat down and, 0-2, might end up on stream and there's nothing really I can do about it. Like, for a lot of people, it might be a very, very daunting and, somewhat overwhelming experience.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think, just kind of trying from my own experience, with Liverpool this year, because I've got Drakovic's up now. Liverpool was funny. Like, I was so fucking hungover. I managed to come like top 49 out of like a really fucking stacked tournament. and for someone who doesn't fucking play Great League, I don't attend locals, whatever. To compare to the person we're talking about, he came 65th, right, and he attended locals like every other fucking week, and it's like, come on, man, like, you kind of start padding. It goes back to the old Sylph days. I don't remember his name. There was a guy from London who qualified as number 1 in England for Sylph Worlds, and basically all he did was track on Sylph these new tournaments, right?
Just grind it. I remember that.
And literally, and he would literally travel out, absolutely destroy like this new community, offer no kind of feedback to improve, fuck off, never to be seen again. And that to me is just so counterproductive to what the game should be about. It kind of creates an inner circle of sort of like elite players. And then on the flip side of that, are you really that much of a good player if your only way of qualifying for tournaments that matter is you beat people who have never fucking played PvP before? I don't think so.
You're not improving at all doing that.
Yeah, it's stupid.
And it's funny that we bring this up because this wasn't even on our thing, and I don't know how it wasn't. But I know that you yourself, Cade, were quite vocal in terms of like the Oceania. I don't know how we didn't mention this. Just, do you remember seeing the thread at the time? I know it was Yusei Faru, content creator, Twitch streamer, very like good battler in his own right, tweeting about how he qualified. And I can't remember off the top of my head if it was purely off of locals or if he actually went to one of the handful of regionals that they have around. Yeah. And I remember you having like something to say about that, like, and that rubbed people up the wrong way. I'm gonna put it out there. It's my platform, my channel. I agreed, like, wholeheartedly, because I feel like there should be, because a lot of people's opinion is like, listen, not everyone that's going to go to Worlds is going to have won a regional, won an IC, because if it was only those people, mate, that would be a very quick tournament. There wouldn't be nowhere near as many people. And you have to appreciate as well that there are some players, there's always this argument, EU versus NA, we could go over NA and sweep it, NA invasion, we're going to go over to EUIC and do all this. Like, it's always the case of like, you're going to get some good quality players like yourself, like other people that have just like, consistently top cut, or maybe even top cut only like once or twice, but are still like of that caliber. And then you'll get the players that have literally just farmed locals, not saying they haven't played world quality players, but they've literally just done little local events where, it's a different ball game, different environment. I've never done one, by the way, but I can imagine it is. But and they've qualified the same way as someone like yourself or someone that's gone out of their way and won a regional or international title. It just, I don't know. I said, I'm waffling now, but I agreed completely with what you were saying.
I mean, to be fair, it goes back to something that me and Thomas have spoken a lot about on this channel, to be fair, and on this platform we're building. I'm sure you'll agree. Pokemon Go is very much a luxury hobby. As in, so, if you're able to afford to go to these tournaments, that is very much,
that's a privilege.
It's not something that is, it is. It is literally a privilege. Being able to go to these tournaments, it is a privilege.
Never a right. Never
one of the problems that, definitely. Like, there are people out there that work fucking hard to provide for their families and pay bills and blah, blah, and, they will never, ever be able to go to one of these events, like an international event, ever. So,
true.
I think it's about having realistic expectations for yourself. Especially if you're from a background where, fair enough, right, you're going to turn up to these tournaments, right, you're going to sweep them, blah, blah, whatever. And then to basically go, but realistically, I'm probably not going to go to Worlds, whatever. Okay, fair enough, you can't afford to go to Worlds, but you can afford a few you can afford a cut of your paycheck to attend locals. I think as long as you use that in a positive way to build a community for someone else who in the future may be able to go to a tournament, fair enough. But there were so many people who attended this world, and I'm not going to name drop because it's pointless. There were so many people who had grinded for Worlds this year, and then set up like
we don't even need to name drop. I was literally going to say there's no actual need to name drop because you would have seen it on Twitter. Set up
GoFundMe to attend Worlds, and it's like, really, like,
yeah,
come on, man.
I definitely have opinions on that.
Yeah, and for me personally, I just do not agree with it. I do not agree with it. If you're in a point of your life where you're having to take charity from other people so you can enjoy a luxury that isn't something necessary in your life, for me personally, I think your priorities are wrong. Personally, in my personal opinion,
you've prepared poorly. It's like like in advance that Worlds is going to be in Hawaii, right? What Worlds ain't going to be up the road from you. Like it's going to cost a bit more than like your average plane ticket. You're going to have to probably have a large sum of money behind you, not only for travel, accommodation and stuff. If none of that is getting offset by any travel stipends or anything, you're going to need a fair amount of spending money as well. So it's like, I guess if you're a content creator, like my argument is, if you qualify, just, keep creating more content. Your people are invested in you, they're either subscribing to you, they're watching your stuff, so that's giving you ad revenue or just views or whatever. Put that money into this, because in that way, in a roundabout way, the viewers are sort of contributing to that. But like, if you're setting up a GoFundMe, and I know like we'll kind of go off PvP for a little, but like I know people that have done it for just events in general, like, do you want to see me attend this event? Like, subscribe to my Patreon and like I'll be there. It's just like, why? Like I understand I understand fandom, I understand supporting people. I always say to people, it's like I couldn't give a shit whether like anyone watching me now wants to subscribe to me or not, or whether they want, like I don't care. Like it's not gonna, like, people not watching me or not subbing to me ain't gonna affect me in the sense that I'm not able to do what I want to do. Like, whereas for some people it's like, if you don't have the money to go, but you had the money to go to all these tournaments in the first place, and you qualified quite early, and then maybe went to other tournaments that you shouldn't have. Like that's it's FOMO. You've had fear of missing out. You've not wanted to miss out on this, and now you have really big FOMO because it's like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for you, debatably, and that it's gonna be hard for you to muster up the finances to do it. And now you're making it seem like everyone else needs to contribute to your luxury that you've poorly prepared for. Like, you prepare for a tournament. This, Worlds is another tournament when you put it like that. It just so happens to be the biggest one in the Play Pokemon calendar, and you fail to prepare for it. So that, honestly, I'll say it without being it's a you problem. It's literally a you problem.
I guess to kind of move back on to a bit more topic-wise, Frost. Talk us through your performance at Worlds. How it went for you.
Yeah. So, trying to think. Round one. Well, I guess before round one, it was kind of annoying. They kept changing up the bracket. Like,
I noticed that. Yeah.
It probably changed like 15 times from when it was initially released to what the final was.
Yeah.
So, obviously it's Worlds. I was nervous, so I kept looking up my opponents and stuff. And, like looking them up on Dracoviz and seeing different.
Is that something you do for a normal tournament? Like, is that?
Not really.
Nah.
But I don't know, just because it was Worlds and stuff, I knew everyone had experience. I just wanted to see like if there was something that they, continually brought.
Any advantage you felt like, or edge you felt like you could get, you were willing to take, within reason, of course,
Yeah, and just calm myself down too. I don't know, like expecting. So I played a Betamac round one. Like I said, a Mexican player who I've never talked to personally, but I've known through, factions and play Pokemon and all this stuff. I've known the name. Um, I really wish Play Pokemon gave us the recordings. Obviously, I understand what they can't, but it would be nice just to like go over because I don't take notes. Um,
I don't know how people
but
do, to be honest. I always think like, is it me? Is there a reason why these people are like up there in terms of how they perform and they top cut and they perform well at these regionals? I was like, it surely can't be because of these essays that they're writing now. Because then I see people just like quote unquote raw dogging it, no
yeah,
notes, just everything's up here. Which is I always feel like that's another thing that me and Josh have spoken about a lot. The notes. So like the whole thing with notes is like I've seen people with like scriptures, Bibles, like everything of all like previous tournaments, scrims, everything. It's like
well,
and they bring that to each tournament.
you're not allowed to use that in the actual battle though.
I don't know.
It's
I've seen it. I have seen it. Like people bringing like their whole sort of like quote unquote Bible and like there's nothing stopping you like really from having a quick like flick or whatever. I always thought it should just be you request a plain piece of paper, you can write down whatever, and if you want to be that guy and be annoying, like write on the team sheet in it. But obviously you're gonna have to
yeah,
give that to someone. So yeah, I've
yeah.
seen it, Josh. We were just talking about like writing down notes and stuff. So Cade was saying like I asked him, would you normally check people out on Dracoviz or like any other sort of database website to scope them out before a tournament? And he said because it was Worlds, he felt like maybe he felt like he had to just to sort of like see what level they were at, see if he could get an advantage in sort of team reading and stuff. And yeah, he was talking about notes, and I was saying like, I don't understand how like people like are writing like paragraphs and paragraphs in the middle of like 60-second timers
Yeah.
in matchups. Yeah, it's crazy. But no, continue, Kate. What were you saying?
Yeah. So yeah, I played a Betamac. Like I said, I don't use notes, but I'm trying to think. Game one. I'll try to go through the games best I remember them. Game one. I think he had alignment. Um, he ended up making a mistake not throwing the wild charge with his Magnezone versus Cress. So I got the second shield from him, and then I made a good combo play going into Vigoroth immediately after I threw the Moonblast and throwing a Body Slam to KO him before he could get to the next wild charge. So I was feeling good then, and he had Altaria and something else in the back. Um, so I think I was up 2 shields against his. I think he had 0 shields at that point. Um, and I had a Skarmory in the back, so I was feeling fine. I had already baited out the electric, so I figured I was fine. I think I ended up getting the Altaria pretty low with Vigoroth. The big thing was he got a Moonblast debuff.
Oh,
And if he hadn't debuffed me, then I would have put both shields into Vigoroth. But because I felt like I was already debuffed, that it wasn't really worth it. So I saved the shield. At the end of that matchup, I bring in Skarmory, and he has a Lantern. So even though it's Water Gun Lantern and I have a shield, I still lose it. So I was frustrated, and then I forget what happened in game 2 and 3, but I think I ended up making good adjustments and I was able to win those both pretty handily, I'd say. So I was 1-0 at that point. It felt good. Then moving into my next opponent, I knew that if I won and my friend also won PDX Dragon, him and I would be playing. And funnily enough, both games, I lead my Vigoroth and he leads the Annihilape. But I'm still able to win. He didn't really have a good charge bug answer, so I was always able to safe swap that. And then game one, game one endgame was his Annihilape throwing a Night/Night a shield versus my Skarmory, and it was Skarm versus Wiggly in the back, so I was able to win that because I was like, if it's anything else, I lose, but if it's Wiggly, I win. So I was able to take that. Then game two, same thing, Vigoroth and the Ape. I safe swap Charge Bug. This time I no shield it, and it ends up being a Shadow Ball, so I think I'm already done for. But he ends up adjusting his backline too to having Lantern in the back, and to predict an anticipated Skarmory. But I decided to go with Crest in the back, so I'm able to basically beat him up because I have 2 Shield Crests versus Annihilate and Lantern. So even though I had, pretty bad starts to both those games, my backline was able to kind of clean, so that felt good. Um, then from there, next table over, it was Dune versus Bopper, and I had to play the winner of that. And funnily enough, Dune ended up going 0-2 in the tournament. He lost to Bopper, so I had to play Bopper. And game one, I won pretty easily. Game two,
I know why. I don't want you to like go into it with Josh. Just like I know exactly why he's laughing, and I'll let him explain why he's laughing.
So, our podcast at the start of World, we did predictions on who was going to win, and we were both just like, well, realistically, it has to be Dune. It has to be Dune, right? Like, Dune has to fucking take it, right? We both like confidently said like that's our prediction, and then we're like fucking 0-2 straight out, and me and Thomas are like, well, shit, we're like.
Yeah, he got packed. He got packed in. He got packed in by a mind joke and Bopper.
yeah. So yeah, I had to play Bopper. Game one, I had alignment. I played pretty well. Game two, I've lost a little bit of sleep over this already. I ended up making a misplay. It was like basically like low HP, one shield situation. He had Talonflame and Quagsire. I had Shadow Gligar and Vigoroth. In hindsight, I should have shielded. Like right after the match, I knew I should have. I thought I had enough HP on my Vigoroth to counter down his Talonflame and live the Incinerates, but I didn't. So I should have shielded the Gligar so that the Quagsire is forced to throw energy again, so that Vigoroth has more HP to counter down the Talonflame. But Vigoroth ended up taking too much damage, so it ended up losing by 1 turn. And then game 3, he let Annihilate into my Vigoroth, and I lost. So that was quite frustrating. And then I think I was put into like losers round 5 or 6 from there. And then I had to play one of your guys' locals. I think it was the Gengar Life.
Yes, that's played Tom. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, we had really good games. I told Josh he was a little bit of a psychopath because I brought Vigoroth and pressured him with it both times. So game 3, I thought he would adjust, and leave like his Shadow Gator and stuff behind and bring Annihilate. So I left Vigoroth behind, and then I was very very weak to Shadow Gator and ended up losing to it. So I got kicked out by Tom, but he's really cool. So I couldn't be mad, but definitely still wish I could.
It was good that he was able to raise the money to get there. To be fair, so we blame the GoFundMe. Otherwise, you'd still be in the tournament.
True. Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, you were, I think it's under World, I mean, for us looking in, it's different. I'd imagine you yourself, you're maybe disappointed you didn't maybe make day 2. I don't know, maybe looking back, you're happy with how, with how you perform. Maybe you're not, but that's all part. That's all part of the learning curve, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, to be fair, you after that you met Tom at the social, right?
Yeah. The next night, yeah.
Yeah.
He got a round of drinks for me and a few other European people.
Last beer.
Last beer.
Yeah, it was last call. And then I was going to go with him and a few other European players to another bar, but we got split up. So, yeah, didn't
One
end
of
up
us,
working
man.
out. But...
Mate, you're one of us now. You're one of us.
One of us.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna actually get there.
Yeah. But then, okay, so I guess because we're kind of starting to run out of time, if we compare World 23 versus 24, not I guess partly Pokemon, partly like the actual travel and culture.
Yeah.
Which one did you prefer in terms of culture? You know, your from the tournaments. Is there any like standout moments from each that will like you know that will turn into memories?
Mhm. I mean, two different. I guess I wasn't competing last year, so I guess that's a little bit different. So, I think this year means a little bit more to me just because I was able to compete and it's my first Worlds. So in that way, but in another sense, I've also always wanted to go to Japan. I know you're going
Yeah,
in the spring, right?
April. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I, had a great time there. So, I mean, while Hawaii was very cool and different, I think, just exploring a whole different country and culture and all that was like an experience I joined a little bit more. Not to say that I didn't enjoy Hawaii. I loved it, but Japan's like, totally different.
Yeah, totally different.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I'm trying to think about the Pokemon there. I mean, obviously, everyone's seen like the videos and stuff online of Japan. Like the convention center, had special spawns both there and also in Hawaii. In Japan, it was like the Asia regionals, like Farfetch'd and such. In Hawaii, it was like they had the different Flabébés, the Oricorio, the Comfey, all that. So I think they were both quite enjoyable Pokemon wise. I feel like once I got out in this one I grinded pretty hard and then I grinded pretty hard just in general in Japan. Because I wanted to take advantage of
Yeah.
the good spawns.
One thing I do want to ask about Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
I saw a lot on Twitter about the Pokemon Center being fucking chaos.
I saw a picture. It looked like people were queuing in like a. Mate, for me, it looked like a multi-story car park. It looked like the Rush's car park up the road in Loughborough. Like, what's that about? Like, surely they could have managed that a bit better.
Yeah, so the Pokemon Center situation, so obviously I had to schedule a time to like an appointment with the party size. So I went 2 days. I went I think Wednesday and Thursday, the first day and the second day.
Yeah.
Because I had somebody else who also booked an appointment that I was with. So the first day it was brutal. You had to wait outside of even like I guess I don't know outside of the convention center to then be signed in and let into a line into the parking garage. Where you then had to wait. I think how long we waited in the parking garage.
Probably
Probably
hours.
45 minutes. It was pretty insane. Of just sitting there in the humidity with a bunch of other people. Um, and then you got eventually led up into um an area with fans, but it was still it was in the convention center, another line, and finally from there you were actually let into the Pokemon Center. And luckily I didn't face any of the issues of people where like it was completely sold out or anything. I was able to, go get everything I wanted. So that was nice. But I know some people had like major issues with like just all the world's exclusive shirts and figures and whatever being sold out. So that was, super tough to see. And I even saw like coming out of the Pokemon Center, once like people like within, 50 feet of the exit, scalpers reselling the stuff.
That's
And
what I was
like,
literally going to say. That's always the thing at these. It's like, obviously, they try their best to limit it to one per person, and they, obviously have like an early access for like the judges, like esteemed content creators, people that they've put the, time and effort and money towards getting them out there, so at least they're gonna. And then obviously they know in return that these people are gonna share all their stuff on Twitter, and it's like free promo for them in a way, but they're kind of paying for the person to go out there. So yeah, to see people go there, this has always been my opinion with the Pokemon centers, and it's a tough one for me. So like the only worlds that I've been to was as a like LCQ competitor in London, and obviously then you get a spectator pass with it, and then there was the Pokemon Center there. But obviously the whole public access thing is like kind of weird. So like this is why like whenever I've not gone to Japan, I've not gone to Hawaii, I don't understand personally why people ask friends to bring them back the stuff. I'm like, for me it just feels weird, right? anything you can see in my background, I went there, like the Pikachu Beefeater, you can't see it in camera shot, but like I went there, I can look at it and say I did that. Why the fuck am I gonna get a little hula scuba Donny, Pikachu, and be like, oh shit, Sammy brought me back that from Hawaii. Am I gonna tell my kids like, oh, you went to Hawaii? No, my friend did. Why am I trying to live precariously through someone else? Like, make your own memories. Like, why are you're taking away from someone that was there because you're not there. Like, qualify and get your own goodies.
You see, so fun fact: FrostFire still has a World 23 Pikachu for me, and Life has a World 24 Pikachu plushie for.
Fucking hate it. Yeah, I knew I needed another beer.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I mean, to be fair, I guess that's I guess it's good that you personally didn't. But dude, the outrage on Twitter was fucking crazy. People were going crazy. I saw people posting hauls.
Okay, maybe I was harsh. I don't mind so much the people buying for friends, but it's like I do, but I don't. But it's more the scalping people, literally for profit. You're going there to try and like. Don't get me wrong. If you qualified and you want to sell your competitor stuff because you don't care for it, it has no real value to you. Sell it, like make the trip pay for itself. But if you're going there, you're gonna go one day get a deck box, and then maybe go like another day and get a deck box and sell that. Like if you're doing it purely, you're like to try and like profit in that sense. It's just like, listen, I understand being forward thinking and all this. See me, I'm a business. I get it. Like, but at the same time, it's like and then someone's gonna go in a little kid and be like, I want the scuba. Little TCG kid be like, I want the scuba Pikachu plushie. Oh, we ain't got none. And then you see people posting on Twitter with like a bag full of Pikas or outside like, hey, trying to hold this scoop and Pika, like they're just trying to. I don't know, it just rubs me up the wrong way. But I could just be being very like ignorant about it all.
I agree. I guess we're kind of starting to run out of time. I don't know if there's anything else in particular we wanted to ask you about. I feel like there was something, but I don't remember what.
I think we covered it in like an earlier sort of section anyway.
Yeah. So the last thing, goals for the 24-25 season. For you. What?
I think you mentioned it a bit about it. I don't know if Josh was having technical difficulties or on a toilet, but I think he was saying like in general, because Worlds this year is it? I'm gonna say this so wrong. Anaheim. Yeah, and obviously it's quite close to where you are now. So I said that you were obviously going to be there, like, regardless, and then you said you weren't really going to grind the CP, but seeing as the locations of Worlds is near you felt like, you kind of feel obliged to. It's like, oh, go on then. I'll run it back. I'll do it again. So is that the... Yeah. I'm guessing that's obviously the plan again this year, to qualify for Worlds again?
Yeah, that's the main one. And then I guess, like, my final goal for Play Pokemon is to like win a regional. Obviously that's very tough to do.
Get the shirt, yeah.
But I think I get the shirt. Just like, I don't know, I think I could be that level. I think I'm almost there. So I think just like I just need like a little bit more of a push to actually get to that point. Because I mean I've pretty consistently been playing at the top level for the past few months. So I just got to make it happen.
So, like, do you have any, with the best finish limit and all stuff in mind, do you have, like, in your head, like, is it mapped out to that extent where right, I know where I'm going next, and, or are you just kind of seeing how you do each one, then deciding? Are you someone that likes to plan that far in advance, or you're like, we'll see how we'll get on this one before I decide on the next tournament I might attend?
With the CP, it definitely does encourage more of like
planning,
because you have to get a certain amount of points. So yeah, you kind of gotta plan a little bit. I know I doubt I'm going to be able to go, but I'm slightly looking at Baltimore, although that's like pretty soon. And then I think Sacramento is in December or November, so I'll probably do that because that should just be a quick plane ride up.
November, yeah.
Yeah. So those are kind of what I'm planning now. We'll see what happens. I gotta probably do some locals too, and then go from there. Really, I don't know.
Sounds good.
well, from both me and Thomas, we both wish you best of luck in the next season. Hopefully, you're able to achieve your goals. I don't see why not. Fingers crossed, you'll be able to make it EUIC, and we can.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna see what happens.
We can turn up. I feel like that's a pretty good time to wrap up. I didn't realize we've actually been talking this long.
It's been a while since we've had a special guest on. Well, the past few episodes when it's just been myself and Josh, a lot of them tend to just go over the hour mark, maybe an hour and a half. But yeah, man, time really does fly.
Yeah, definitely does. Thomas, you wanna wrap up, or you want me to? Or
I guess I've got to now, seeing you've asked so nicely. Guys, episode number 46. I Boozy. We've been joined by our amazing guest, FrostFire14, who, like we said, we wish you all the best in not only the upcoming Play Pokemon season, but just any other, any other endeavors. You said you had your graduation coming up in spring.
Yeah, spring.
Yes, I hope all of that obviously goes well for you and everything. So
thank you.
All good. But yeah, guys, we'll be back same sort of time next week. I know the time sort of like chopped and changed a little bit, but sometimes that does happen. But we'll be back around the same time next week. We'll say 7 p.m. and then if you see us go live at 6, then just be here at 6. Because the hour before you're just sat there waiting for us anyway. So we're just putting you out of your misery for a bit. But guys, go on, Josh.
Do we want to say what's happening next week, or are we leaving that?
We may or may not have a special guest. That's what we say, just to cover all bases. Because listen,
we may or may not.
Yeah, because if we do, we do it. If we don't, best believe it ain't because of us. I'm just saying, it is what it is, isn't it? But guys, we're gonna wrap this one up here. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in live on twitch.tv/ThomasYoung1997, listening back on Spotify podcast, Apple Music, watching back on YouTube. Fucking subscribe to us on YouTube and TikTok. So I weren't going to end on this note, but I am. But I was looking at the other... Mate, there are people on TikTok that get, followers for some stupid shit. And we do stupid shit too. So I'm not saying that, don't follow them. Because we're, I'm not putting us on a pedestal. I'm saying if these are stupid and we're stupid, follow us. So, yeah. With that being said, thank you so much, everyone, for watching back or tuning in or listening live. And, yeah... We'll be back next week, same time. Josh, MrAvalanche, always been a pleasure. Cade, it's been great to have you back on the channel. And
back on. I've had him on okay, on the channel. Oh yeah. I was on the podcast. I'm fucking hell, where the fuck was I for this episode?
Yeah, we got Joe in.